The bruise was supposed to fade before anyone noticed. I'd gotten good at hiding them thick concealer, angled selfies, fake smiles that hurt more than the actual hits. But I made one fatal mistake that morning. I forgot that Kang Min-ye noticed everything. They called him the Ice King of Seoul's underworld, the man who built an empire on fear and blood, who could end lives with a single phone call. But when those cold, calculating eyes landed on the purple bruise spreading across my brown skin, something in him snapped. Who? Touched. Yo. What he did in the next 72 hours would turn my entire world upside down. And by the time I realized I'd fallen for the most dangerous man in Korea, it was already too late to save myself. If you're ready for the most intense, forbidden romance you've ever heard, don't you dare skip ahead. Trust me, you'll want to hear every single word of what happens next. Let's go. My name is Amara Thompson, 25 years old, originally from Atlanta, currently surviving in Seoul on 3 hours of sleep and pure stubbornness. People always ask why I came to Korea. The truth? I was running. Running from student debt that crushed my dreams of becoming a nurse. Running from a family who said I'd never amount to anything. Running from Marcus, my ex-boyfriend, who thought love meant control. I thought an ocean between us would be enough. I was wrong. Seoul was supposed to be my fresh start. But fresh starts cost money I didn't have. That's how I ended up scrubbing floors for Korea's elite. The agency sent me to a dozen houses a week. I was good at being invisible, head down, mouth shut, curves hidden under baggy uniforms, until the day they assigned me to the Kang estate. Kang Min-ye, 32, CEO of Kang Industries by day, Korea's most feared underworld boss by night. Old money mixed with new power. Educated at Oxford, trained by the Yakuza, rumored to have 17 kills to his name before he turned 25. The kind of man mothers warned their daughters about. The kind of man I should have avoided at all costs. They said he was ice, emotionless. That he hadn't smiled in 3 years, not since his father was murdered by a rival gang. They said he went through women like tissues models, actresses, socialites and discarded them just as easily. They said he'd never look twice at someone like me. I'd been working at his estate for 2 weeks. I'd mastered the art of disappearing whenever he was home. But that Tuesday morning, my luck ran out. I was scrubbing the hallway floor down on my hands and knees when I stood up to grab my cleaning supplies. I turned suddenly and collided directly into his chest. Cleaning bottles clattered across the marble floor. "I'm so sorry, Mr. Kang. I didn't see you. I'll clean this up right now." He looked down at me, expression unreadable. Then his eyes slowly traveled from my face down my body, lingering on the way my uniform hugged my full breasts, cinched at my waist, stretched over my rounded hips. It was the first time anyone in that house had actually seen me. And God, the way he looked at me, like he was memorizing every curve, every line, every inch of my brown skin. Like I was the first real thing he'd seen in years. "You're new," he said, his voice low, his English accented. 2 weeks, sir. I promise I'm usually more careful. What's your name? I froze, surprised he was even asking. Amara, sir. Amara Thompson. His eyes narrowed slightly, as if filing away the information. Then he walked past me without another word. I thought that was it. A 30-second interaction I'd forget by lunch. But Min-ye? He didn't forget anything. And over the next 2 weeks, I started noticing things. The way his meetings always seemed to end right when I was cleaning his office. How he'd ask me questions where I was from, why I came to Korea, if I was adjusting well. His housekeeper said he'd never spoken more than 5 words to any staff member in 3 years. But with me, he couldn't seem to stop. I told myself it meant nothing. Men like him didn't date women like me. Different worlds, different tax brackets, different skin colors. Besides, I had bigger problems. Marcus had found me. It started with messages. "I know where you work. You can't hide from me. I'm coming to get what's mine." Then he showed up at my apartment. Then he started following me to work. 3 nights before everything changed, he cornered me outside the subway. Marcus grabbed my arm hard enough to leave fingerprints. "You think you can just leave? Make me look like a fool? Come back to the apartment. Now. We're done, Marcus. I'm not going anywhere with you." His hand flew toward my face. The crack of impact echoed in the dark alley. I stumbled against the wall, hand to my cheek. "You don't tell me when we're done," he snarled. "I'll be back tomorrow, and you better have your shit packed." I called in sick the next day, tried to let the bruise fade, but my savings were gone and rent was due. I couldn't afford to miss another shift, so I did what I always did. Covered it with makeup and lied. The concealer was cheap. Under the bright kitchen lights, you could still see the purple spreading from my cheekbone to my jaw. But I prayed Minye wouldn't come downstairs that morning. Prayer doesn't work when you're dealing with a man who controls everything in his world. I was wiping down the marble counters, my back to the door, when I heard his voice. "Amara." I jumped slightly, turning with a forced smile. "Good morning, Mr. Kang. Can I get you anything?" His eyes immediately locked onto my face. His expression shifted from neutral to deadly in half a second. He crossed the kitchen in 3 long strides. "Look at me." His voice was dangerously quiet. I should have obeyed. But fear makes you stupid. I turned back to the counter, scrubbing harder. "I really need to finish." His hand, gentle but firm, caught my chin, turning my face toward the light. His thumb barely grazed the bruise. The moment his skin touched mine, it was like lightning through my entire body. His hands were surprisingly soft for a man rumored to have blood on them. Warm, careful, like I was something precious that might break. The cold mask on his face cracked, revealing pure rage underneath. His other hand gripped the counter so hard I thought it might shatter. "Who did this to you?" "It's nothing. I fell, don't, Lee." To me. The air between us crackled with tension. My breath caught as he stepped closer, towering over me, his eyes burning into mine. I'd seen angry men before. Marcus angry was terrifying. But Minyi? This was different. This was controlled rage. The kind that didn't explode, it calculated, planned, destroyed. "A name, Amara. Please, Mr. Kang, just let it go. He's my problem, not yours." "He?" Minye's jaw clenched so hard a muscle twitched. His hand moved from my face to my shoulder, then slowly down my arm, checking for more bruises. His touch was fire. Every place his fingers grazed left electricity humming under my skin. And the way he was looking at me, like I was the only thing in the world that mattered. Like whoever hurt me had just signed their death warrant. "Tell me his name," he said, switching briefly to Korean before returning to English, "or I will have every security camera in this city pulled until I find him myself. Your choice." My eyes widened, realizing he was deadly serious. "Marcus," I whispered. "Marcus Johnson. He's my ex. He followed me from America. Where is he now?" "I don't know. He said he'd come back today." Minye pulled out his phone, speaking rapid-fire Korean into the speaker. Then he hung up and looked back at me with an expression that made me shiver. "You don't go home tonight. You stay here." "What?" "No, I can't." He stepped even closer, his breath ghosting across my forehead. That wasn't a request. I should have argued, should have maintained professional distance. But standing there, trapped between his body and the counter, drowning in his cologne and intensity, all I could think was how safe I felt. For the first time in months, I felt safe. He set me up in a guest room that was bigger than my entire apartment, sent one of his female staff to buy me clothes, had dinner brought up on actual silver platters. I felt like Cinderella, except my prince was a Mafia boss who was currently hunting down my ex like prey. I was sitting on the bed in an oversized borrowed silk robe when Minye knocked and entered, carrying a first aid kit. "May I?" I nodded. He sat beside me on the bed close enough that our thighs almost touched. He'd shed his jacket and tie, rolled up his sleeves, revealing forearms corded with muscle and decorated with a black dragon tattoo that disappeared under the fabric. This close, I could see the small scar above his eyebrow, the perfect shape of his lips, the dangerous beauty of him. He gently applied antiseptic cream to my bruise, his touch feather-light. "This will help with the swelling," he murmured. His fingers lingered on my skin longer than necessary. "Why are you doing this?" I whispered. "I'm nobody, just your maid." His dark eyes met mine, and for the first time, I saw something crack in that icy exterior. "You think I haven't noticed you, Amara? For 2 weeks, You've been the only real thing in my world. The only person who doesn't want something from me. Who doesn't flinch when I enter a room. I should flinch, I said. Everyone says you're dangerous. I am dangerous. His hand moved from my face to my neck, his thumb tracing my pulse point. Especially to men who hurt what's mine. I'm not yours, aren't you? His face was inches from mine now. Then why is your heart racing? Why are you leaning into my touch like you're starving for it? He was right. I was leaning in, my body betraying every logical thought in my head. This is crazy. You're my boss. We're from completely different worlds. I don't care about worlds. His other hand found my waist, fingers spreading across my curves like he'd been dying to touch me there. I care that someone put their hands on you, that you've been walking around my house in pain, hiding it from me. What are you going to do? His smile was dark, predatory. What I do best. Make problems disappear. Before I could respond, his phone buzzed. He answered in Korean, his expression hardening with each word. When he hung up, the warmth in his eyes had been replaced with cold calculation. We found him. He's at a bar in Itaewon, telling anyone who'll listen that he's going to teach his girl a lesson tomorrow. My blood ran cold. Minyi, please, just let the police handle it. The police? He laughed, but there was no humor in it. Amara, I own half the police in this city. This is personal now. He stood, buttoning his shirt cuffs with practiced efficiency. Stay here. Order anything you want. Watch movies. Sleep. I'll be back before morning. Where are you going? He looked back at me, and the darkness in his eyes made me shiver. To have a conversation with Marcus about respecting other people's property, especially mine. I'm not property. He crossed back to me in 2 strides, his hand cupping my face with surprising gentleness. No, you're so much more than that. And by tomorrow, Marcus will understand exactly what happens to men who touch you. Then he was gone, leaving me alone with my racing heart and the phantom warmth of his hands on my skin. I didn't sleep that night. I paced the room, alternating between terror for what Minyi might do and shame that part of me wanted him to do it. At 4 a.m, I heard the front door open. Voices in Korean, then silence. I found him in his study, standing by the window, still in his blood-free suit. He'd washed his hands, I noticed. Washed them very thoroughly. Is he dead? I whispered. Minyi turned, and I saw something flicker across his face. Surprise, maybe, that I'd come looking for him. No, but he wishes he was. What did you do? What needed to be done? He poured himself a whiskey, downed it in 1 swallow. He's on a flight back to America, with a very clear understanding that if he ever contacts you again, if he even thinks your name, he won't survive it. I should have been horrified, should have run. Instead, I crossed the room to him, my bare feet silent on the hardwood. You didn't have to do that. Yes, I did. He set down the glass, turning to face me fully. You don't understand yet, do you? What you've become to me, then explain it. His hand reached out, fingers tangling in my natural curls that I'd let down for the night. For 3 years, I've felt nothing. I built my empire on ice and control. Then you walked into my home with your curves and your strength and your refusal to be invisible. And suddenly, I was burning. He pulled me closer, until my soft body was pressed against his hard planes. I've wanted to touch you like this since the moment you crashed into me. Wanted to trace every curve, memorize every inch. Wanted to know what sounds you'd make if you what? My voice was breathless. His hand slid down my back, over the curve of my hip, gripping the thickness of my thigh through the silk robe. If I worshipped you the way you deserve, if I showed you what it feels like to be treasured instead of hurt. Minyi, I didn't even know what I was asking for. Say it in Korean, he whispered against my ear. Say my name the way it's meant to be said. I don't know how. Minyi, oppa. His breath was hot on my neck. Say it. Minyi oppa, I breathed and felt him shudder against me. Again, oppa. He groaned, his grip on my hip tightening. You're going to destroy me, Amara. Completely destroy me. His lips were a breath away from mine. I could feel the tension vibrating through his body, the iron control keeping him from closing that final distance. Tell me to stop, he murmured. Tell me this is wrong, that we shouldn't. I kissed him. It wasn't gentle. It was 3 weeks of tension, of hungry stares, of electricity every time we touched. His hands were everywhere, tangled in my hair, gripping my waist, sliding over curves he'd been staring at for weeks. He lifted me like I weighed nothing, setting me on his desk, stepping between my thighs. I've imagined this, he growled against my mouth, every night. The way you'd feel, the way you'd taste. His lips moved to my neck, finding that spot that made me gasp. The way you'd sound when I touched you here. His hand slid up my thigh, stopping just before. His phone rang. Ignore it, he muttered, but it rang again, and again. With a cursing Korean, he pulled back, breathing hard. I'm sorry. I have to. This ringtone means emergency, he answered, his expression going from frustrated to deadly serious in seconds. When he hung up, the warmth was gone from his eyes. What's wrong, my brother? There's been an attack on one of our warehouses, multiple casualties. He was already moving, grabbing his jacket. I have to go, now. Let me come with you. No. His voice was sharp, then softer. It's not safe. Stay here. I'll have guards posted at every entrance. He cupped my face, kissing me hard and fast. We're not done, Amara. Not even close. Then he was gone again, leaving me disheveled and aching on his desk. The next 2 days were torture. Min-ye would return for a few hours, exhausted and covered in tension, only to leave again. But even in his exhaustion, he'd find me, pull me into his arms, kiss me like I was oxygen. This situation is escalating, he told me on the second night, as we lay tangled together on his couch. The Choi family is making a move. They think I'm distracted. Are you distracted? His hand traced lazy patterns on my hip, completely, dangerously. All I can think about is getting this handled so I can focus on you. Min-ye, this is crazy. We've known each other 3 weeks. I don't care. He tilted my face up to his. I've never felt like this. Never wanted someone the way I want you. Not just your body, though God knows I want that. I want your laugh, your strength. The way you look at me like I'm a man instead of a monster. You're not a monster. I am. But with you, I want to be better. On the 3rd day, everything changed. I was in the guest room when I heard shouting downstairs. Gunshots. I grabbed my phone, my hand shaking, when the door burst open. But it wasn't Min-ye. It was a Korean man I didn't recognize, flanked by 2 armed guards. He smiled, but it was cruel. So this is the little distraction everyone's talking about. The black American who's made the Ice King go soft. Who are you? Choi Sung-ga, Min-ye's oldest enemy. And you, sweetheart, are going to help me destroy him. Before I could scream, something pricked my neck. The world went fuzzy. The last thing I heard was Sung-ho's laugh. Let's see how ruthless he really is when we have what he loves. I woke up in a warehouse, tied to a chair. My head throbbed. Across from me, Sung-ho sat casually, smoking a cigarette. Ah, you're awake. Good. I was getting bored. Where am I? Somewhere Min-ye will never find you in time. I've sent him a video. Gave him a choice, his empire or his little maid. He leaned forward. Want to know what he'll choose? Terror gripped me. He won't negotiate with you. Oh, I'm counting on that. You see, I don't actually want his empire. I want him broken. And nothing will break the Ice King like watching someone he loves die. The door burst open. Min-ye stood there, alone, hands raised. But his eyes, God, his eyes were pure murder. Let her go, Sung-ho. This is between us, is it? Because I think it became about her the moment you stopped being smart. Sung-ho pulled out a gun, pressed it to my temple. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to kneel, beg. Maybe I'll let her live. Min-ye's jaw tightened. Then, slowly, he began to lower himself to his knees. No, I screamed. Don't you dare. Everything happened at once. The window shattered. Armed men in black poured in from every angle. Sung-ho's gun went off, but Min-ye was already moving, tackling me and the chair to the ground. The gunfight lasted 30 seconds. When the smoke cleared, Sung-ho was on the ground, bleeding, surrounded by Min-ye's men. Min-ye cut my ropes with shaking hands. Are you hurt? Did he touch you? Tell me you're okay. I'm okay. I'm okay. I threw my arms around his neck, and he buried his face in my hair. I thought I lost you. When I saw that video, Amara, I would have burned this entire city down. You came alone. You were going to kneel. I would have done worse than kneel. I would have given him everything. He pulled back, cupping my face. Don't you understand? You're not my weakness. You're the only thing that makes me human. He kissed me there, in the warehouse, surrounded by his men and his enemies. Kissed me like I was the answer to every question he'd never known to ask. 2 weeks later, I was still living at the estate, still technically his employee, though I hadn't cleaned a floor since that first bruise. Minyi had offered me 100 different options: an apartment, a job at his company, money to go back to school. But I hadn't decided yet, because being with him meant accepting his world, the danger, the darkness, the fact that men like Sung-ho would always see me as a weakness to exploit. I was standing on the balcony of his bedroom, watching the Seoul sunset, when he came up behind me. His arms wrapped around my waist, pulling my curves back against his chest. What are you thinking about? Everything. Us. Whether this can actually work. It can work if you want it to. His lips found my neck. I know what I want. I want you. In my home. In my bed. In my life. Permanently. Your family will never accept me. The Korean Mafia boss with the black American maid. I don't care. He turned me to face him. Let them talk. Let them object. You're mine, Amara. And I'm yours. Nothing else matters. I looked up at this beautiful, dangerous man who'd destroyed my ex, started a gang war, and knelt in front of his enemy all for me. Saranghi, I whispered. One of the few Korean phrases I'd learned. I love you. His eyes went dark with emotion. Say it again. Saranghi, Oppa. He kissed me, lifting me into his arms, carrying me toward the bed. I'm going to spend the rest of my life showing you what those words mean to me. As he laid me down, his hands already working the buttons of my dress, I finally understood. This wasn't a fairy tale. It was better. It was real. Messy and complicated and dangerous and absolutely perfect. The Ice King had melted, and I was his fire. But our story was far from over, because 3 days later, I was in his bathroom, staring at 2 pink lines on a pregnancy test. And outside, I could hear Minyi on the phone, his voice tense. What do you mean Sung-ho escaped from the hospital? How many men did he take with him? I looked down at the test again, at the life growing inside me, at the future I hadn't planned but suddenly wanted desperately. When I opened the bathroom door, Minyi was there, phone still pressed to his ear, eyes immediately scanning me for problems. I held up the test. He stopped mid-sentence, stared, then slowly ended the call without looking away from my face. Amara, is that? The door downstairs exploded inward. Gunshots, screaming. Minyi shoved me behind him, pulling out his gun. Stay behind me. No matter what happens, you stay behind me. Men in masks poured into the bedroom, but it wasn't Sung-ho leading them. It was Marcus, standing there with a gun pointed directly at Minye's head, eyes wild with rage. You think you can steal my woman? Send me back to America like garbage. I'm going to take everything from you just like you took her from me. Minye's voice was deadly calm. Last chance to walk away, Marcus. You don't want this fight. Marcus laughed. I'm not afraid of you anymore. See ya. I made some new friends. Friends who want you dead as much as I want her back. He aimed the gun at me. So here's what's going to happen. She's coming with me. And if you try to stop me... He never finished the sentence. The screen went black. Comment part 2 if you need to know what happens next. Trust me, you're not ready for where this story goes. The pregnancy, the showdown, the choice Amara has to make that will change everything. Drop part 2 right now, and I'll know you're ready for the next chapter of the most dangerous love story you've ever heard.